Hi all. Sad news for the chess world. Again, just soon after Victor Caution, I'm afraid. Danny Kopec, an international master, very, very talented player, passed away June the 12th, 2016. That's just yesterday from this video. Danny Kopec was an American chess international master, author, and computer science professor at Brooklyn College. He graduated from Dartmouth College in the class of 1975. Dartmouth College is not to be confused with a fictional college in the TV program Peep Show. It's a college in the United States. Kopec later received a PhD in machine intelligence from the University of Edinburgh, so in Scotland. So I played him actually recently on the ICC auto pairing, so it took me aback that this person that is now, I'm not going to be playing him anymore on the ICC auto pairing. He was one of the few international masters I've beaten over the board. I remember that game, he was kind of excited and enthusiastic he was going to crush me, and I heard him mutter something like, "I'm going to teach that punk a lesson," to someone in the corridor. So I tried my best, and I found some amazingly lucky resources to escape and even win that particular game, but he was definitely better. And he was still playing amazingly strongly, I thought, in recent auto pairing games on the ICC. So this is really quite a shock. There's some information on Wiki as well, which indicates he achieved the international master title and was a semi-professional player beginning of 1976. He lived in Canada for several years during the 80s. And I found actually a couple of very, very interesting games when he was in Canada, in a place called Manchester, not UK Manchester, but in actually Queen City. This is in the United States. There's a place called Manchester. So he competed there with success. He wrote numerous books on the subject of chess, produced 8 chess instructional DVDs, and ran chess camps starting in 1994. He also worked to promote his chess opening, the Kopec System. And this game is, I think, ticks some boxes. It's a very, very strong opponent, Alexander Ivanov, and it's in his famous Kopec System. Also, apparently with Ivan Bratko, he was the creator of the Bratko-Kopec test, which was one of the de facto standard testing systems for chess playing computer programs in the 1980s. In AI, he published several notable academic pieces for machine error reduction, intelligent tutoring systems, and computer education. So yeah, a great player and fantastic achievements even outside of chess. Let's have a look against Alexander Ivanov. So this is played in Canada. This is the Queen City Open. Okay, round 3. So he was up against Grandmaster Alexander Ivanov. He plays e4. Ivanov plays c5, knight f3, d6. So would he dare play his Kopec system against the strong GM, who's at least 100 FIDE points higher than him? Yes, bishop d3, and we're going to refer to this bishop as the Kopec bishop. He does in his own videos. So this is now the Kopec bishop. So it's extraordinary to many players that you do this to block the d pawn. Isn't it breaking principles? You could say that, but against the Sicilian defense, when a player plays black and plays Sicilian, they're making a statement. They want a fighting game. They don't want a closed strategical struggle. So in a fundamental way, he's putting the opponents into uncomfortable territory. This is not what they signed up for when they played a Sicilian defense. You'll see that the bishop now, after c3, can tuck away neatly on c2 and construct a Roy Lopez big center, the classic center of the 2 pawns side by side. So none of this trading off the Sicilian c pawn. No, instead, after castles, bishop g7, the plan is basically to play d4, but white has to watch out for the pin with bishop g4. So in fact, we'll see after e5, black is trying to clamp down on d4 in any case. Now, if black hadn't done that, I believe h3 and then d4 would be on the card. So black is actually really concerned about this d4. So it becomes a little bit quieter now with d3. And yes, it looks strange that the Kopec bishop's trapped behind its own pawns, but it can come out to a4. And he's had games where it's heroically done that and actually ended up winning the game soon after. So this is still a very dangerous bishop on c2. It's just tucked in bed at the moment. Knight e7, h3, h6, bishop e3. And now Ivanov, he plays very aggressively, f5. We have e takes f5, bishop takes f5, which gives white the e4 square potentially. Knight bd2, but black's always got d5 to kick away any knight. So actually there's another way of approaching this position. Knight h4, it looks a little bit quirky, but the Kopec bishop is protecting d3 here. So this bishop moves away, and now the Kopec bishop comes out with a vengeance. Bishop a4, rook c8, bishop b3. It's going to exchange itself off to weaken black's light squares potentially, but black stops that with d5. But now f4, we have e takes, bishop takes f4, black castles, queen e2 hitting that bishop on e6, that's protected. It's attacked again, rook a e1, it moves back. Knight hf3, securing control of e5, potentially knight e5 is now useful. Try and get rid of this defensive bishop around black's king. It's a bit too dangerous to do that here though. Queen f2. And now g5. Black is playing very forcibly here, but creating some weaknesses around his king. Will he be punished for these weaknesses? Bishop e5, trying to get rid of that defensive bishop. Okay, very interesting position. We have bishop g6. And now you might think it's tempting to take on g7, but actually queen g3 was played here. So what's going on here? Queen g3, and also isn't d3 a bit vulnerable? Well, let's have a quick look. Black played b5 on bishop takes d3. Bishop takes g7, king takes. It looks as though, for example, knight takes g5 could be very dangerous for black. Here, if it's hitting the bishop as well, so if bishop takes, then we have things like knight e6 check, and black could end up getting mated like this. So yeah, it's tactical. I mean, it's got a tactical grounding here to play queen g3. So we have b5, and now that bishop's taken off, and again doesn't matter about d3 here. h4, still dangerous for black. There's king side, trying to pierce black's king side. c4, and on the same theme, not even bothering to move the bishop now. H takes g5, our full bishop sacrifice to compromise black's king safety. C takes, g takes h6 check, knight g5 check, and now here it seems maybe black's best shot, which maybe looks a little bit counterintuitive, would be to play king g8. That might be the black's best defensive reply here. But black played king h8, and there's one of my favorite resources in chess for attacking kings. There's this dangerous fawn pawn. Guess how Danny Kopec uses this dangerous fawn pawn in this position? There's a fantastic move here that's played. If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video starting from now, what would you play with white? Okay, knight f7 check. Yeah, if the king was on g8, this wouldn't be so destructive. If bishop takes, clearly the form pawn comes into its own, supporting queen g7 mate. If rook takes, well, then there's rook takes. We've won the exchange. We're pinning the knight. It's a horrible position for black. And for example, rook g8, there's h7. There's stuff like this, h7. This is really dangerous for black. For example, here, I think we can get a mating attack like this, queen h4 and then mating. So yeah, knight f7, we have king h7. But now another really brilliant attacking move. White really wants to get a knight to g5. If you can get this knight to g5, there's a slight snag at the moment. Anytime you play knight f3, there's knight f5. Hitting the queen, disconnecting the rook, protecting the knight. So you want to be able to sort of virtually pin this knight so it can't move away without a major penalty. Provide the knight with an if-then condition in computer science AI terms. Well, kind of. So how can we make sure this knight's not going to go anywhere? There's a great move played in this position. What does Danny Kopec play here? If I give you 5 seconds, starting from now. Okay, still ignoring also, by the way, this pawn munching its way through white's position. Rook f6. So the knight can't move now because we've got queen takes g6. And it seems as though, well, you know, taking this pawn, but it's still, you know, it's still not doing anything for quite a while. It gives white too much time. Black wants to try and defend his king instead. He tries rook g8, but now this dangerous knight now is coming to g5. It's become really critical. It's embarrassing that this is actually mate. You know, if takes here, then this is actually checkmate in this position because both knights are holding all the squares. This knight's holding h8. So black plays here. Bishop takes f7. We have rook takes f7 check. King h8. Now another great attacking move. White to play here. What would you play in this position? Simple and strong. Okay, queen f4 just threatening to come in with queen f6, mating. We have rook g6 defending f6. And another powerful move. White to play. Knight e5 hitting the rook. Black dare not take here with that queen coming to e5. It looks crushing, but there's also other possibilities as well. But no, queen e5 looks absolutely crushing, because then there's things like rook g7. That dangerous form pawn is still here. So we have queen e6. So winning an exchange here. Knight takes g6. Queen takes. And now again, that form pawn comes into its own in this position. White to play here. I'll give you 5 seconds, starting from now. Okay, rook g7. We have queen h5, leaving control of f6, a trade-off decision. White pounces there, goes into f6. There was nothing much else though for the queen to do there after it was attacked like that. Knight f5, and now there is actually a fast mate in 2 here with rook f7. It's all over really, this position. But another way of winning is played. This is perfectly okay for winning the game. Rook g5 check. It's absolutely completely winning anyway. Queen takes f5 check. And here black is getting mated, etc. Or even worse. So like for example check, he could give away his queen first and then checkmate. So yeah, queen takes f5 was the final move here. And it so happens the next year they're playing in this same tournament in Canada. And Danny Kopec plays again. He doesn't fear any preparation. He plays again the Kopec system, which I might show you in another video. So he plays Alexander Ivanov in 1990. Unfortunately, these two games don't seem to be in the main databases, but they are great demos of the dangers of the Kopec system against a very strong GM opponent. Now, Kopec is in his instructional videos. He's got instructional videos, and you can see fragments of those on YouTube. He talks about there's no greater satisfaction than playing your own system. So this Kopec system, he's playing his own system against GM opponents with success. It's great original thinking, not following the crowds, but thinking, you know, what does the Sicilian defense player want? And try and psychologically cause discomfort by saying, no, you're not going to get an exciting, dynamic game. You're going to get a duller, slower, protracted struggle of a game, positional struggle, akin to Roy Lopez positions. And yeah, he had great success with this opening. So a fantastic player, and it's just another shame, but it's part of life. Death is part of life. A shame for the chess world. We have lost now Danny Kopec. So Danny Kopec, rest in peace. A great guy, and innovative thinker and contributor to chess theory. Comments or questions on YouTube? Thanks so much.